Welcome to tonight's video. I'm going to talk a little bit more about strategies that are going to help you work in your writer's notebook towards a more fully developed memoir. If you look at the objectives, it's to share and review the idea of purling in your writer's notebook. And I think I've mentioned this in most of the classes, but just in case, I'm going to go over it again. And then I'm going to give you some very specific strategies for ways to take your life topic and work in your notebook so that you can write with greater depth about it. Everybody in class should be at least at the point in their writer's notebook of rereading what they've collected, searching for possibilities for life topics or life themes. You need to be ready to go to draft in the next few days. So if you are not part of that, everyone, you need to be doing a lot of real serious thinking about your writer's notebook at home. Based on your work topics from the last couple of days, many of you already have lists of life topics to think about. And what you've been working on as class is either choosing the topic that feels right for you at this moment, a topic you're interested in, and then working on that life topic in your writer's notebook to think even more deeply about it. And that's exactly what tonight's video is about. Your task in your writer's notebook, once you have a life topic, once you know what that theme is going to be, your task is to write around that idea, to do some more developing, some more questioning. So your task is to purl around your life topic. What you're trying to do is generate writing that is powerful, writing that helps you discover what you still don't know about what you think you know, which is confusing, but that's where we're going. I want to explain this little purling metaphor. It came from a professor I had in grad school, and it's based on an oyster. Just like an oyster is a filter feeder. So the oyster is constantly filtering water, sand and water and algae and tiny plants through its shell. You've been filtering your whole life. You've been filtering ideas. You've been filtering memories. You've been filtering images. You've been filtering feelings through your notebook, just like the oyster filters seawater through its shell. For the oyster, when a particular piece of sand that's just the right size and just the right weight and just the right shape filters through the oyster, it sticks. And the oyster begins to purl it. It secretes this stuff called nacre, N-A-C-R-E, and it begins to coat that piece of sand. And it layers it, and it layers it, and it layers it, and it layers it, until eventually it's no longer just a piece of sand, it's been turned into a beautiful pearl because of the oyster's work at purling it. Well, the metaphor is very appropriate for what the kinds of thinking you're doing in your writer's notebook. That life topic or theme that you settle on is like that perfect piece of sand. It's the right topic at the right time. And so it's stuck out for you in your notebook as you were rereading and you're rethinking. So now your job as a writer is to do some purling around that life topic, coating it with more layers of meaning and connections and feeling and images and questions. So part of this means, once you've decided on your life topic, is going back through your notebook again and making sure you've pulled out all the small details, all the small images, all of the entries that you've made that could possibly connect to that life topic in some way. So what kind of thinking goes into purling around your life topic? You can see poor Snoopy is sitting here and he's got one word typed. Remember that as we shift from just collecting to focused pre-writing, our goal is not just to generate now. We're shifting now from quantity to quality. At this point, we want thoughtful writing, because we want the people who read our literature to be able to go below the surface of our writing too. We want to offer them something besides just surface ideas. So here's some strategies for purling, or writing with more depth around that life topic you found, or coding, taking that life topic and adding layers of entries around it. And this was one I already kind of mentioned. Go back after you've picked your life topic and read your notebook carefully. Notice you're rereading your notebook a lot. Look at things that seem unconnected and ask, how might these connect? Sometimes there's tiny little pieces of underlying truth or issues that sit beneath those seemingly unconnected bits. So your idea is to go through and do that filtering or that sifting, looking for pieces that you can coat your idea with. Do you have one or two great images? Are there places or objects or scenes that just seems to crack your heart open? Look for those images. How do those images connect with your life theme? Remember, and we've talked about this in other lessons, remember that the bigger you write, the smaller you write. So what you're trying to do is shuttle back and forth now between writing those big ideas you have and then pulling back and writing with small specific detail. So it's almost like you pull back and you give us a big picture, those big ideas, and then you zoom in with your camera and you show us the tiny details that make up that topic. After you've chosen a topic and you've written about it a little bit, by taking one particular stance or point of view, try to deliberately write exactly the opposite about the same subject. So if you've been writing about how important a particular person has been in your life, try writing what your life would be like without that person, because that's a place that's going to give you different points of view. Try to ask hard questions. Explore the ideas, explore the moment, explore the images from different perspectives. How did this memory look to someone besides yourself? How does someone else remember this image? And all of that kind of comes from the gathering stage of the inquiry. Take your life topic or theme and ask yourself, what don't I know about what I know? Where's the mystery here for me? And I'm going to show you this in a model in just a minute. And sometimes you can think about your life topic or your question by trying to link that big idea to another big idea, and then maybe another, and then maybe another, to see if you can grow this life topic into something bigger or broader or deeper. All right, I have a little bit of writing to share with you from a previous student's work. Again, this was a guy, permission to use, but not permission to put a name on it, which is perfectly fine. The first one was an entry that came out of his writer's notebook, and he really felt like he had a draft for his memoir going on with it. And here's how it started. It says, if Grandma is so strong, how is it that she looks in need of me? She looks in need for the first time in a while in the hospital. She has never made me cry before, and as a matter of fact, I've never seen her in bed like this before. And her hair feels so soft and warm. She can't stay awake when she speaks with us, and she looks so bad. It makes me sad. She always knew how to keep strong and supported us to do that, but she isn't speaking. She isn't speaking now. That's my typo, sorry. And I have trouble keeping strong. Those dreaded movies always make me think that when you are in a hospital with tubes going into your body, you are going to die. All right, the entry stopped there. I sent him back in and asked him to try and write small, to try and go below the surface of the facts. So the second paragraph is an example of how he pearled or layered the first paragraph. He says, those were the thoughts that were running through my head. I found it my duty to stay beside her, making her strong as she does for me. But I had a problem. She'd never really explained to me how to keep yourself strong. I never thought it was important because when would I need to do that? I was just a happy kid with a good life. So you can see how he starts out with this very basic, kind of giving us the facts. It's a memory. It was an image in his head. But you can see by taking that image and digging down more deeply and look at feelings, reactions, memories, he adds a layer of meaning on to this image of his grandmother in the hospital. So this is a really good example of pearling. And then from there, further pearling led the same writer to this list of questions. And he picked the questions that appealed to him. And in answering the questions, he layered more and more and more around that tiny little image of his grandmother in bed. So that initial piece of sand turned out to be a beautiful memoir. Look at the kinds of questions he came up with. Why is my grandmother so important to me? What is the unique role my grandmother plays in my life? Why does my grandmother mean so much more to me than she seems to mean to my siblings? Have I always cherished my grandmother as much as I do now, or has this changed over time? What do I want to say to my grandmother that I haven't said yet? How does my grandmother fit into the whole of who I am as a person? How does the image of my grandmother in the hospital fit into all of this? These are awesome questions, and it took him about 2 days to come up with it. 2 days of solid work during work time. I included the questions here for you because they seem to me that they're questions that you could take the word grandmother out and you could plug in so many other possibilities. Actually, I've used these same kinds of questions in my own notebook. This was brilliant work on this kid's part, and it was why I wanted to share it with you. So, remember that memoir is retrospective, narrative nonfiction. Retro is backward, spec is to look. So memoir means thinking about the kind of the person we are now, at this place and at this time, and then looking back across our histories, looking for the people, the places, the events that helped shape us to be this kind of person. This is where the retrospective nonfiction comes in, is starting who you are in the present and trying to make sense of how you came through time to be that person. Once you've done that, then the narrative piece comes in when you begin choosing the small ideas, the small stories that are going to fit together to tell your bigger story. Your work as a writer is to grow all of those small ideas that you're pulling together into your story. Oops, sorry. Some WSQ reminders: be an active viewer. No TV, no texting, no Facebook, no phone while you're watching my video. I want you to think about this. Pause, rewind, review the video to be sure the ideas and the concepts are clear. If they're not, you need to bring your concern and your confusion to class with you. If you don't ask, I'm going to think it's clear. And for this video, you may want to watch it with your writer's notebook with you. You may want to be annotating and marking things with Post-it notes as you watch this video. Take good notes tonight. Tonight's notes might be a list of the strategies. Tonight's notes might be the questions that were posted that you'd like to use in your own writing. Tonight's notes might be your aha moments as you connect what you've been doing in class with the concepts I'm trying to talk about in this video. And make sure that you have at least one good question. We didn't have time in class on Monday for a focus lesson because of book fair. So this is an important lesson. And it came about because I sat down over the weekend, I looked at what all of your work plans were. And about 90% of my kids are at that point where you're in your notebook with a list of life topics, looking at me and asking me, okay, now what? Tonight's video is meant to help you with that now what. So give it a chance, look in your notebook, think about it. And now, begin.